Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidparam. Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane. जीवन मुक्त है कह अद्वैते दीहि स्थिरा यस्य स एव जीवन मुक्तः. अद्वैते दीहि स्थिरा दीहि. This is the same expression which Bhagavan Krishna had put sthita prajna. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadikam pravasheda किमासीद व्रजेतकम् इति अर्जुनेन पृष्टः प्रश्नः. तस्य उत्तरं दत्तवान् भगवान् श्रीकृष्ण. In 18 verses he explained the nature of Siddha Prajna, and towards the end he said, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nenam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvanam Ruchati. Same thing is quoted here in the verse number 103. Esha means this sthitihi, because it's feminine, therefore Esha sthitihi, Brahmi sthitihi. Brahman state of Brahman. What is the state of Brahman? Yenam prapya, yenam sthitim prapya. This having reached this state, Purushaha na vimuhyati. One does not get deluded. Somebody asked this question, what is the difference between delusion and illusion? Illusion is outside, delusion is inside. That's the difference. When we see something which is not there as though it is there, it's an illusion. Rajjau sarpadrishtihi. So Rajjau in the rope, sarpam iva drishtihi, sarpam asti iti drishtihi. There is a serpent. This drishti is called mithya. Correct, you all know that. That is illusion. Jo nahi hai, even though it is not there, dikhta hai, it's seen. So, after having seen that which is not there, not knowing it is not there, obviously, one takes that to be true and makes decisions based upon that. That is called delusion. So, what is not there, but I think it is there, and based upon that, if I take a decision on how to react and what to do, It is similar to a person who is dreaming, and after waking up, he makes the decisions based upon what he dreamt. Think about it. One is not a lawyer, let us say, and in the dream he had won the lawyer, great degree for law, and he has become a successful lawyer in the dream. And then when he wakes up, he behaves like a lawyer, then what do you call him? Deluded. So this we can understand very clearly, that a person mistaken something to be real and then acting upon that. But the laughable thing is, we all are like that. अनात्मनि आत्मबुद्धि, जो अनात्म है उसमें आत्म का आत्म इति बुद्धि. What is not real or what is not the self, in that the idea of the self, the body, deha na atma. Yadi aham deha atma iti matva, having thought about that mind, body as the self. And for the physical body, we do so many things because that alone is me. And when somebody dies or something happens, when we start crying as though it is so real, that is also delusion. That's what happened to Arjuna. He looked at all of them and said that these physical beings that are there, my uncle, my grandfather, my guru, all these people are going to die. They understand they are only mithya matram. This is what Krishna tries to say to him. Agama paino nityaha. Dhimantaha purushaha, the what called buddhimantaha, men of wisdom, they do not get deluded by this. Ashochan anvashochatvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gada asun anagata asun na anusochanti panditaha. This delusion is no more for a person whose mind is in Advaita. Advaita dihi stira, Advaite di stira. Yesha brahmi sthiti partha nainam partha vimuhyati. You cannot get deluded. Antakale abhistitva. Asyam. In this condition, Brahmani sthitayam, in the Brahmi sthitayam, in the Brahmin state, Antakale apistitva, even at the last moment one abides in Brahma nirvanam richati, Brahmani nirvanam, Brahmanaha nirvanam. Emerging into that Brahman, even though even he is not a Jivan Mukta, Videha Muktim Prapnodi Ityartha. Even as he perhaps not realized it during his own life, if he had realized, then he become Jivan Mukta. But even at the last moment, if a person realizes that, then he has become Videha Mukta. Now, what is that the last moment means? Is it physically last moment? Last breath. Is that so? So that is why here in the next verse, he is explaining what that means. Antakala shabdhena vartamana deha padaha abhividiyate iti ashankam varayitum vivakshitam artamaha. One should not misconstrue that Antakala mentioned by Bhagavan Krishna may not necessarily mean last moment of the person before the fall of the body. That's what usually, when you say, oh, I was rushing, and then I couldn't go earlier than the last moment when before the door closed in the aircraft, I got in. उसका मतलब क्या है? What is that last moment? The last moment is not your death. Last moment is an occasion, a situation which would have been very dire, very dangerous, or very unpleasant. But the last moment, I could get in. So that last moment is what? So, in the same way, in the last moment here does not necessarily mean death. So, what does it mean? So, we see in that 104, Sadatvaite nrite dvaite Yadanyonyaikkya vikshanam Tasyantakalastadveda Buddhireva na cetaraha Sadadvaite nrite dvaite Yadanyonyaikkya vikshanam Tasyantakalastadveda Buddhireva na cetaraha. Sad Advaite, in that Advaita, non-dual, real, Anrite Dvaite, the other one which is unreal and duality, Anyonya Aikya Vikshanam, perception of identification, Anyonya, mutual, Aikya, identification, Vikshanam, perception. Tasya antakalaha, the end of that is what is known as the last moment. At the last moment means the moment at which the mutual identification of illusory duality and the one non-dual reality is annihilated. Antakalaha. How? Tadbeda buddhihi. Clearly seeing that Veda, Viveka, Dvaidika, illusoriness, Dvaidasya mayatvam, nityatvam, Advaidasya satyatvam, iti Veda. This Veda, that Viveka is very clear, that alone is what is referred as Antakala. Nacha itaraha, not something else like end of the body. So, the Bharamana Maharshi also said that where the ego is, where the ahankar is, immediately me, world, God. WMG, world, me, God. These three different things are seen. I am different from the world. I am different from God. God is different from the world. So all the combinations, think of it. I am different from God. I am different from the world. World is different from God. World is different from me. God is different from the world. God is different from me. All that. So these are three different entities. Most of the religions, including religious aspect of Hinduism, talk about only differences. The difference between individual who is a suffering individual, limited individual, and one who is unlimited being, God, and with His grace, with His blessing alone, one can remain happy in this world. And also, the difference between God and the Jiva is continuously maintained. There is no question of Jiva merging with God in religious parlance. Rituals are all based on that. That is Christianity, Islam, anything you take, Judaism, Hinduism, Sikhism. But when it comes to philosophy, the Veda Buddhi is Nivarayati. Veda Buddhim Nivarayati Jnanam. Jnanam is that which removes this difference. And that is what has been taught so much in this chapter. if you are able to see the Adhisthana Brahma, which is nature, is Sat, its existence. When you realize and recognize the existence as the unchanging reality present in all things, including oneself, and that is, even though abstract, but without which there is no possibility of realization of the truth. So that very reality which is one without a second alone is true. Tad vyadiriktam sarvam anityam asatyam mithyarupam iti janadi sa sayeva jivan muktaha antakalaha is that ego which is constantly supported and sustaining the differences is at the end of that ego, end of that ahankar. That is what is called antakala. Tasya antakalaha. What? Vedasya antakalaha. Vedam drishtva vedasya antakalaha. So how is that Vedasya antakalaha means? Where one is able to distinguish clearly the mithya and that Veda, that understanding that difference, and then knowing that one is true, another is not there. If दो चीज है उसका डिफरेंस देखना हो ठीक है, ये दो चीज नहीं है, एक सत्य है एक असत्य है. It is easy objectively when you say that rope is true and then snake is not true, etc. That is good. Because one is perceived clearly and the other one is projected, and then we are able to remove the projection. That is easy. Parantu, to see me, oneself as Atman and not the body, not the mind, not the thoughts, not emotions, not feelings, not ideas, all that need to be negated as not real. They are all false, they are all appearances. ये कठिन है, यही है साधना, यही है ज्ञान अभ्यास. So that when it takes place completely without any doubt, that is antakala. Ahankarasya antakalaha. So, but when we mistake to be the physical body's end, Sadrupa Advaite Anrutarupe Dvaite cha yad anyonya abhyasa lakshanam aikya jnanam asti. Tasya aikya brahmasya antakalaha nama tayoho advaita dvaitayoho satya anruta rupena veda buddhireva na aparaha vartamana dehapadaha ityartaha. Again, that is reiterated this way, that it is the end of this Veda. Idanim loka prasiddha artha svikaraha api na doshaha ityabhiprayayana aha. But even when you take it up in the literal sense of, one is called mukhyartha or vachyartha, another is called lakshyartha. In Tattvamasi also, vachyartha and lakshyartha. But direct meaning and indirect meaning. So if you take a direct meaning which is very well known into this world as end of the body, so what happens? Let's say it is said in 106 here, 155 here. Yadanta kala pranasya viyogostu prasiddhitaha tasmin kale binabhrante gataya punaragamaha. Yadanta kala pranasya viyogostu prasiddhitaha tasmin kale binabhrante gataya punaragamaha. Yadva or antakalaha, the last moment, pranasya viyogah, pranasya jivanasya, or pranasya life departure of yoga, departure of life, astu, may be prasiddhitah, very well known. From that standpoint of what is very well known as the departure of life as antakala, tasmin kale api, even at that point, if one's illusion is not gone, na brantehe gadayaha, even at that point, the illusion that is gone does not come back. The last moment also, if one can overcome that illusion, that's why Bhagavan says, even if a person is able to gain that moment, the correct understanding in the last moment also, Deha Padanadurdvam, when he leaves the body, at that point, if he realizes that this is all illusion, even that is the case, even at that time the illusion that is gone, then na punaragataha, brantehe gadayaha na punaragamaha, na punaravrittihi, na punarjanmaha. So why na punarjanmaha? Because when the ego is destroyed through this knowledge, the ego, that is what is taking birth again in another body with all the impressions intact, not yet destroyed, that very jiva returns to continue to relive in that illusion. Yata, in the same way as it is, yata, swapnad, from the state of dream, one who has woken up, स्वप्नात् प्रबोधः पुरुषः स्वप्नस्य मिथ्यात्वं ज्ञात्वा पुनरपि तस्मिन् in the same dream he would not knowingly will enter, or even if he enters he does not participate. But Swamiji, there are people who are who open-eyed dream. Knowing it is a dream, they'll continue. Nice, no? Think about it. But if any tragic situation happens, nice it is, okay, enjoy it. If it is any tragedy kind of a thought that comes, knowing very well it's a dream, yeah, I know it's a dream. So there is no real unhappiness derived out of that unpleasant situation. But usually, once you wake up from the dream, once you know it's a dream, and you get busy with other things, you get immediately busy with walking, what are the demands and challenges that are there after waking up into the waking world. Within few minutes you forget about all that, unless somebody talks to you and says, what was your dream yesterday? I told you yesterday night, sweet dreams. Did you have sweet dream? I had a lot of sweets in the dream, that is for sure. But yet, my sugar level did not go up. I had a lot of sweets. So, once we wake up, we are getting busy with the waking world and its challenges. In the same way, a person who has woken up from this illusory identification, when he wakes up to his real nature, he gets busy with the Atman. He has no other time for anything else. Tasya karyam na vidyate. Kartavyam nahi. Yasyatmaradrevasya atmadruptasya manavahat asmanyeva santushtahat. Such a person would not have any time or even any intention to get caught up in the quagmire of illusion. See, I was thinking about this. Let us say your child is learning math. Oh, maybe the fourth grade. Nowadays, third grade, fourth grade, they started calculus also. I'm just exaggerating. Maybe fifth or sixth grade they will start. I don't know. So, let us say you are an expert in math. Expert. Somehow or the other, you became an expert in math. And the boy, young boy, he comes and says, Daddy, I have this problem, my teacher taught me, but I'm not able to understand. What's the problem? Show me. So he puts the problem in front of you. By the very look of it, you know the solution. Yeah. Simple. I can see. You can see the solution. Which that boy cannot see. Which boy is not trained enough to think in that direction because he doesn't have the practice of how to apply the knowledge in this particular problem. So he would look at it as a problem. You look at it as what? I can clearly see this. I know the answer for this. But even though you know the answer, you cannot directly tell the answer to that boy because your intent is what he has to work on it, come out of his own way of doing it, find a solution, and then say, yeah, that is the actual solution to the problem. In the same way, Mahatmas, when they start living in this world, as it said that there is Atma Santushti, Atma Ramanam. Therefore, any worldly problems that come in front of them, they look through it. Why? There is no issue here. Why there is a problem here? No, you don't know. This is... Okay. Tell me your version of the problem. Because in and through it, he can see the solution. But for a person who is not in that ability to think in that way, is caught up in that very net of problems, a wrong thinking, and strong identification about likes and dislikes, not able to come out of it, even though choice is always there. Na vimuhyati. He will not get deluded. The one who knows it cannot delude it. That's why punaragamanam is not there. Punaravrittihi na sambhavati. Illusion does not return. That's why Bhagavan says, Nainam prapya vimuhyati. He will not get again caught into this great delusion within, illusion outside. You can clearly see it. Vedanta kala pranasya jivayo viyoga astu prasiddhita tasmin kale api bhranter gatayaha na punaragamaha. Such a person would not come back to the same situation. That is why freedom is once gained, there is no return. One-way street. Straight you go to the freedom only. There is no return. So now let us say how, see Swamiji, I don't understand this. See, the thing is, on my question, when we go to state of dream, we forget about waking, right? As much as when we are in the waking state, slowly we forget about dream. When we go to the state of sleep, the deep sleep, we forget about both dream and waking state. So in the same way, let us say I have gained that knowledge in the state of waking and gained that knowledge. This knowledge is not available to me in the dream. Atma, Paramatma, Viveka, etc. are not available for me in my dream state. So is it not a thing that disappears? Yes or no? So how do you say it's permanent? How is that this no coming back? Because this knowledge also are subject to be forgotten by people. I'm afraid, Swamiji, so much I'm reading Panchadashi, etc. Next birth again I have to start from Tattvabodh. And the Sanskrit also, oh my God, Rama, 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 Rama. Hare Rama. Again, I have to start this declension table conjugation. Swamiji, it's too much. Now you see, continuing in this verse number 106. Niroga upavishto vam runo va vilutan bhuvi murchito va tyajatyesha प्राणान् भ्रान्तिर्न सर्वथा नीरोग उपविष्टो वा ऋणो वा विलुटन् भुवि मूर्छितो वा त्वजद्देश प्राणान् भ्रान्तिर्न सर्वथा एषः पुरुषः न सर्वथा भ्रांति at no time, never, na sarvata, never there is bhranti, delusion. Tajatu eshaha pranan, wherever he want, let him give away the body. Niroga va, very healthy. Upavishhtavaha, or sitting in meditation. Runahava, very ill. Vilutan puvi, whether rolling on the ground as a religious ceremony. Murchidahava, unconscious. Ava means conscious. Conscious or unconscious. Tyajatu eshaha prana. Bhranti na sarvata. Yogarato va, bhogarato va, sangarato va, sangavihina. Whether he is in the company, whether he is not in the company, whether he is near with the bogis, whether it's a yogis, he will not. He will nandati eva. No delusion for a person. Pure pauran pashyan nara yavadinama kritimayan. That Jivan Mukti Ananda Lahari, beautifully, Jivan Mukti Stotram, yeah. In that, Bhagavan Shankaracharya very clearly says, Jivan Mukti, in that, Jivan Muktasya Lakshana. Finally, what he says, Guru Upadeshat, Guru's Dikshat, Shatatadamaha. Guru Dikshat, Shatatamaha. The one whose tamas, ignorance, is Guru Dikshaya, because of the very initiation from the Guru, knowledge, Kshata, destroyed. Punarnavyamoham bhajadi Guru Diksha Kshatamaha. Na moham bhajanti. There is no more moha for a person. Whether he is in the company of people, whether he is healthy or ill, whether he is sitting in meditation and leaving the body or while doing something else, whether consciously he leaves the body or unconsciously he leaves the body, no return. Because that last moment what he does not matter if he is already free. So this knowledge is not something subject to disappearance along with the death. Because it is a jivasya jnanam. Atmanah jnanam, na buddhi jnanam, na vishaya jnanam. It is not knowledge of some object. It is not a knowledge of something which is inert. It is not a Vishaya Jnana. It is not a mere knowledge at the level of the intellect. इसलिए again and again, that's why in Bhagavan Krishna's 7th chapter also, Jnanam dadami savijnanam. ज्ञान भी दे रहा हूं, सविज्ञानम, उसका हाउ टू अप्लाई एंड गो बियॉन्ड द बुद्धि. Not to confine that your knowledge only to that level of the intellectual understanding. Realize aparoksha anubhutim bhajasva. Enter into the state of aparoksha anubhuti. It's a personal experience of total destruction of the individualized ego. And when the ego is present, it utilizes buna, mana, buddhi, ahankara, chittam, ityadi. When the ego is, that ahankara means that individual ahankara. So when the destruction of the aham, madi, that I thought, which uses the intellect, mind, memory, etc., when that ego is destroyed, whatever is available at the level of the mind, intellect, or at the level of memory are transactional purpose only. Vyavaharika. Vyavaharika sattayam vyavaharartham vyavahara yogyatvam enava. All that knowledge he has got at the buddhi is only vyavahara, for the sake of vyavahar, for the sake of transactional world. That ego which is destroyed no more can return back with the same mudatvam. This delusion, once gone, never returns. Now what is the proof, Swamiji? Jivan Mukti Purushanam, the men who have realized this knowledge, Aptavakyani, their own utterances. That is the proof that we have. Shastram kim? What is the Shastra? What is the considered as scripture? Apta Purushanam Vakyani. The knowledge that is revealed by men of knowledge who have realized and then revealed it to us. And so here Bhagavan, when he clearly says, Bhagavan himself says, Yesha Brahmi Sthiti Parda Yasyam Antakale Epi Stitva Na Vimukhyati. Again, he will not get deluded. So whether it is a person, physical condition of the Mahatma when he leaves the body is unconnected to his knowledge. It may be sick, he may not be sick, he may be conscious, he may not be conscious. He may be leaving the body on a Dakshinayan also. Some people say, oh Swamiji, Mahatma, but he left the body in Dakshinayan, so what happens to him? Uska matlab hi nahi hai. Because only those who are restricted to the ritual part of the religious tradition, there is this so-called such a notion that when a person leaves in the Dakshinayan, he will go to it is there in this 8th chapter also of Bhagavad Gita, such a person will come to go to the Swargadi Loka, and then Chandrayana Marga he will go. It's not the solar path, it is the lunar path which is subject to return. And those Mahatmas or yogis, who have done a great merit, they will go only in Uttarayan and they will take the solar path, and then there is no return. Brahma Lokam Gatva, there, then they will give Brahma Prapti happy. But this does not apply to a Jivan Mukta. One who has realized it doesn't matter where the body goes, how the body is discarded. None of those. Because, see, having thus discarded his identification with the physical body, what condition the physical body, how does it matter? Na tasya pranam utkramate. Na pranan utkramante. So his prana, it does not. So in our case, the Jivatma being an independent individual, and it is identified with the physical body. On the fall of this physical body, because of its desire that it is already has to enjoy further, it will have to leave this gross body. The subtle body has to go and look for the relevant next body to continue this journey. In the case of a Mahatma who has discarded his identification physical body as illusion, and the subtle body having been completely attenuated by knowledge, there is nothing that goes away from the body. Wherever he is there, itself is Brahmalinaha. That's why Mahatma's body, where it is buried, it is said to be that it's an abode of Brahman. Samadhi Sthalam is Brahma Sthalam. It's the abode of Brahman, meaning where one can, quietly sit and contemplate the intensity of the Mahatma's life lived in such an austerity would help bless the sadhakas. Niroga upavistova runova tilutanbhuvi murchitova tyajatu esha pranan bhrantir na sarvata. Now, how do you think this knowledge would not disappear? So it is said in the next verse here, verse number 107. Dine dine swaprasuntaha. Sorry. Dine dine swapna suptyoho. Udite adite vismrute api. Adite vismrute pyayam. Paredyur nanadita syat. Tatvat vidyana nashyati. Dine dine swapna suptyoho adite vismrute pyayam paredyurnanadhita syat tat vidyana nashyati. Tatvat vidyana nashyati. Dine dine, every day, daily, swapna suptyoho, during the time of dream and deep sleep, adite, whatever you have gained the knowledge during the waking, vismrute, even when during the dream in it is forgotten, ayam paradeyuhu, next day, na anaditaha, it is not that you have forgotten. You have learnt medicine of the thing. I cannot go to sleep, Swamiji. Why? If I go to sleep, next day, I have to start from the scratch. Think of that plight. No, even in our daily life, whatever we have studied yesterday, it's available for us in the following day. Even though during the time of deep sleep or dream, swapna sutyoho, adite vismrute api, even though during the time of dreams and deep sleep, even if it is vismriti takes place, paredyuhu, next day when you wake up, na anaditaha, it is not unavailable, syat, indeed. Tadvat, in the same way, vidya na nashyati. Atma vidya na nashyati. Knowledge will not disappear. This knowledge. No, Swamiji, this is not a comparison. Why? Because that is an intellectual knowledge. This is also intellectual knowledge. We are talking about death. Death of what? Death of what? See, Now, let us say that a person is a musician, great musician, expert in a particular, let's say, sitar player. And he is such an expert, playing great. Now, when he goes to sleep, he forgot all that he's learned. No, next day morning he starts again. Yes, that's what I'm saying, Swamiji. It's intellectual knowledge. Yes, I understand that. I mean, of course, body is also involved in this. It's body also has got its own way of remembering things. Now, when physical body goes to sleep, the subtle body with all its information is going to a state of laya sthiti. And then when he wakes up, the layagatam punaha agachati. That one which has gone into the laya sthiti again wakes up. So it retains the knowledge which is learnt in the previous day. In the state of a person, in the case of a person who dies, the physical body is no more available for that knowledge which is gained by the subtle body, not available for him to express for the physical body is no more. Now, when the jiva takes up another body, that body in the beginning stages not available for expressing that knowledge right away, because that body is just a tiny body of a child. It cannot express, it cannot even pick up a sitar and start playing. It's not even a size of a sitar, not even a string size. So now the subtle body has gained that knowledge. It is said that during the time of death, whether conscious or unconscious that person has been while dying, it goes through an extraordinary traumatic condition, because it is leaving all that is been attached to that very extensively, intensively saddening situation. The existing knowledge of whatever it be, of the kind of musical knowledge or whatever, is affected, completely affected, destroyed, as though. Therefore, it is hard for that very jiva in the next birth to recollect that information, because it is only available to at the level of the subtle body. And that is also disturbed during the sleep. During the death, But if at all any lingering information is retained strongly, we do find such souls next to birth onwards, when they come up, they express their talents without much problem. That's called prodigies. Because when at the time of death, they did not go through the trauma of death, and because of which they are able to retain certain knowledge, and which is expressed in the next birth as a prodigy. You can see that some of the cases where they have not learned anything in this life, but at very early stages of their life, they are capable of using the instrument or whatever be the proficiency they had. So in the case of Atmajnanam, as I have mentioned, there is no question of any rebirth anyways. So here what is said, the knowledge of the Vedas acquired during the waking state is not anymore disappearing. Brahman knowledge is not at the level of the intellect, it is not at the level of the subtle body, because as I said, that the ahankara is the one which is recollecting the memory, etc. The ahankara is no more, and therefore there is no delusion, number one. But being released from that clutches of ignorance, that ego having been completely destroyed, There is no question of it again identifying with the limitations of the intellect. So this knowledge is not lost, and that is why Bhagavan Krishna has said in 6th chapter, Yoga Prashtaha, a person who has not completed his process of evolution in the previous birth, he has not become a Jivan Mukta nor a Videha Mukti, he has kept gained. Such a soul which has halfway through, in the next birth, it picks up from where it had left. And the continuation takes place. Wherever it is stopped, from there only it starts. The previous knowledge acquired does not undergo any change. That is available to him completely. So in the buddhi and the intellect, the manaha that is acquired in the next birth is utilized by the jiva very well to continue the process. Nahi kalyana krit kasyate durgatim tada gacchati. And also he says he remembers all of that and proceeds with the same power. And in prayatnat yatamanastu, again he puts more effort because he knows that he has left behind halfway through. Now he has to complete that job in the next following birth. If that person is not a Jivan Mukta, if he has not gained the Videha Mukti also, such a sadhaka will continue pursuing the self-knowledge as though he had just acquired it, which is actually from the previous birth. That is the reason why Bhagavan Shankaracharya says in the Vivek Chodamani, Jantunam Narajanno Durlabham Atapumsam Tato Viprada, and all the sages. Finally he says, Shatakodi Janma Sukrudehi Punyar Vina Manushya Janmaha Nalabhyate Mokshaha Nalabhyate. Mokshaha Nalabhyate. Unless they have done so much of punya, which is in the form of purity of the soul that is gained, it is able to retain that knowledge and picks up the momentum from then on. Vasanas will be there. To some extent they will trouble, but then Bhagavan Shankaracharya very clearly says, what is that in very famous that verse? Jnate vastunya bibalavati vasana anadiresha karta bhokta pyahamitima yadi yasya samsara hetuhu pratyak drishyani vasadi sada sapaneya prayatnat Muktim Prahutadihamanayo Vasanatanavam. Prayatnat Vasanatanavam Kuru. How do we bring the vasanas, elimination of vasana, thinning down? Pratyak Drishyani Vasadi Sata. By turning the attention within and remaining, abiding in that. That prayatna has to be done by the Purushartha, has to be done by the sadhaka, as even he understands that is the very purpose of my life. I have taken another body only for this. Bhagavan has given the graceful, Bhagavan has given this human body for that purpose. Okay, continuing here. Pramanotpadita vidya pramanam prabalam vina na nashyati na vedantat prabalam manamiksyate. Pramanotpatita vidya pramanam prabalam vina na nashyati na vedantat prabalam manamiksyate. Vidya, the knowledge, pramana utpadita, born out of the evidential source. Pramana utpadita vidya pramanam prabalam vina na nashyati. Any knowledge that we gain cannot be overcome by, unless there is a more stronger pramana. When I see something we consider that as more powerful than when we hear something. Somebody says, oh, this is what it is. And then what do you say? Unless I see it, I won't believe it. So you believe seeing as more pramana than hearing. Somebody says, unless I see, I don't believe in it. Or you may say, but I want my guru to say that, then only I will believe. Or one who I respect or I adore, I revere, that person should say, then I will understand. Some passerby say something, you may not say, no, I don't believe in that. Why? You can say anything you want. But if you're a friend, or if your own mother or father, or your guru, or somebody whom you respect, yes, why he said it, or she said it. So somebody who is greater pramana, you will take it with greater faith. In the same way, na Vedantat prabalam manamikshade. There is nothing greater pramana than Vedanta. There is no other stronger evidence than Vedanta. Then what is Vedanta pramanat janita vidya kadam nashet? What is that? The knowledge that is obtained by Vedanta, which is the highest pramana, and when that knowledge is gained out of that, what is greater than that to disprove it? So that Advaita Jnanam, which is born out of Vedanta, is an absolute and nothing to overpower that. This should be the Shraddha people should have. Vedanta is the Charama Pramanam. Brahmanaha Charama Pramanam. Atma Brahma Aikyasya Charama Pramanam Vedanta. That is complete and the end. When it is said in Vedanta, there is nothing more to go beyond that. Pramana Shraddha is very important for us to proceed towards that moksha. And the Gita is also Pramanam. Tasmat Pramanam. Shastram, Bhagavan Krishna says, Iti guhyatamam shastram idamuktva mayanaga edad buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityasya bharata. Tasmad Vedanta samsiddhim sadadvaitam na badhyate antakalepyato bhuta vivekan nirvritistita. Tasmad Vedanta samsiddhim sadatvedam na badhyate antakalepyato bhuta vivekan nirvritistita. Tasmad, therefore, Vedanta samsiddhim. What is established in Vedanta? Sad Advaitam, the existence which is non-dual reality, na badhyate, never is falsified. Badhanam is to falsify, na badhyate. Antakale, even in the last moment. Api, ataha bhuta vivekat, panchabhuta vivekat. By this chapter called Panchabhuta Viveka, nirvritihi, bliss is assured, stita. So one should understand that even after all, the physical body is also made up of the 5 elements only. But when we do the Panchabhuta Viveka and understand what is the real in this is Sat, existence, which is always there. But all other than Akashasya gunaha, Vayoho gunaha, Agnehe gunaha, Jalasya gunaha, Prithivyayaha gunaha. All those gunas which are expressed by our physical body as peculiar conditions are all gunaha mithya rupaha. Parantu, then all of them adhishtana atma paramatma sadrupena tishtati tadeva aham na maya janita janitaha gunaha aham panchabhuta rupena tishtanti api. in the form of the five elements, even though they are appearing to be my physical body, but my nature is Sat. In this way, one who realizes this, which is the Vedanta, is the pramana for that, then nirvriti, bliss, is always there for such an individual, even as that person realizes it at the last moment of the life. Thus we concluded the chapter 2 of Panchadashi. We will continue with the chapter 3, which is on, as I said, Panchakosha Vivek. Because these 5 chapters are Vivek. Next 5 chapters are on Dvipa, light. And then the last 5 chapters, Anand. Actually, Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat is what is explained in the first 5 chapters. Chit, in the form of illumination, light, is explained in the middle 5. And Ananda is explained in the last 5. So this way the Panchadashi is created by Vidyaranya, composed by Vidyaranya Maharaj. So we'll see the 3rd chapter from next session. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkhabhat Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.